Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm so excited to be talking about The Mandalorian, but not only to be talking about The Mandalorian, but to be talking about The Mandalorian episode 4 with my girl that I really enjoy being with. And I'm so happy that she's joined me. Qola, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here, to talk about this.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
I'm
Me
ready to
too.
bring that big auntie energy.
Oh, that's right. That Bay energy. What you know
That
about
big
that? That's right.
energy.
Yeah, we
They don't
got
know
yeah.
anything about that.
They don't know anything about that. But if you don't know, go back and watch some of those videos on the This Is It reaction channel. We're talking about Loki and all types of Marvel stuff. Cola's always
All
bringing that
Marvel.
Bay energy. Oh
Yes.
yeah, and she's rocking
The
the
Falcon.
Falcon right there. Yeah,
Falcon of
man.
America right here.
That's right. Oh man. Well, we're going to go ahead and get into this episode. I wound up finding out that Qola was watching this episode, and I was like, oh, snap, man, we got to talk about it. And just let everybody know, I got a reaction up on my actual reaction to when I watched this episode. So go ahead and check that out as well. But right off the bat, with this episode, I'm going to read some of the notes I got here. This episode is entitled The Foundling of the Mandalorian. It was a very interesting episode, and it goes in two separate storylines. Two separate storylines are happening here. So at the same time, we have Bo Katan leading a rescue mission where one of Paz Vizsla's kids, that's the really kind of big Mandalorian. And then on the other side of this episode, we have the stuff going on with Grogu and the armor and having that situation where she's making him the armor. And then there's those flashbacks to the Jedi Order 66. And a lot was happening there. And of course, my man Ahmed Best coming back into Star Wars. It's officially canon now. And he having a really big part in Grogu's history. It was an incredible episode. It was only 32 minutes. A lot was crammed in here, but just overall, Qola, what did you think of this episode of The Mandalorian?
I liked it. I liked the interaction with the Mandalorians
Yeah.
when they were training. So it gives you like a different perspective on how they came up. Like the
Mm,
little boy fighting Grogu. Like, oh,
yeah.
I can't fight him. He's too small.
Yeah. He's too little.
Right. And I love the whole, speak what you know. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like if you don't
Yeah.
know about it, don't speak about it. Like
Mm,
that's what I loved about them, because
yeah.
they're like, don't judge a book by its cover. You don't know what you don't
Yeah.
know.
That's
So I
true.
love that part.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love
Um,
this episode. I really did. Was it, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Was it anything else that you wanted to say there?
just the action parts of it, like the action was pretty good. The action was
Action was
pretty good.
fire.
Yeah.
I
And
really enjoyed
one
it.
thing I have to say, I commend you with remembering their names because like the whole time I
Oh,
was botching every single like that chick's name. What is her name again?
I just call her the armor. That's
No,
all I
no,
know because
not
she
the armor chick,
oh
the
Bo
other one,
Katan.
Bo Katan. Yeah, I
Yeah.
butcher her name every single time. Like she's been called all kinds of things aside from her names.
Right. Yes, Bo Katan is yes, I love Bo Katan. I think she's freaking awesome. And I'm not gonna lie, I butchered their names too, because there are some folks that I don't know, and I'll just give them a random name. But I do know Bo Katan, Mando, which his real name is Din Djarin, and Grogu. Those are like the three folks I know. Everybody
Mhm.
else, I gotta write notes down because I don't remember their names. Even Ahmed Best, but we'll get to him in a bit. But let's my overall thoughts of the episode. I thought the episode was fantastic. It was only 32 minutes, but boy, did they cram some stuff in this 32 minutes. There was action on both sides of the fence, so you get to see that stuff going on with Grogu and his kind of going through the Mandalorian culture and that flashback, which we'll get to. And then I just really loved that story and that journey with Bo Katan and that rescue mission. I was like, yo,
Mhm.
this is fire right now,
Mhm.
like, and we're just seeing more of her. And I'm really enjoying it. It's very interesting because I'm sitting here thinking that this show was called The Mandalorian, but lately it's been more about Bo Katan in these past couple of episodes. So I don't know where they're going with this, but I'm excited for it. I'm all in. So far I've been really
Yeah,
enjoying this episode.
With Bo Katan, I thought it was kind of interesting too, how, in the beginning with her storyline, she was like so against the old ways. Like, oh, that's
Yes.
old timers talk. We don't, you don't need to
Mhm.
keep your helmet on. You don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And after like bathing in the waters,
Yeah.
she comes out reborn, like, oh, you haven't shown your face, then, you can, come back to us. And she's like, okay,
Hmm.
like, oh wait, what happened to those are the old ways and we need to, separate and
Right.
be more flexible or whatever.
Yeah, I feel
So
you. She got a little different tone now. That's you come out of
mhm.
those waters, and I've been thinking like, is Bo Katan plotting? Is she trying to befriend them and work her way back in so she could find a way to become head of Mandalore again? Because that's always been her ultimate goal. And if you don't know about Bo Katan, she was in Star Wars Rebels and in Star Wars Clone Wars, and she's always been like a leader type mentality. She's not a person to
Mhm.
sit on the sidelines and come off the bench. So I can't
Right.
see her sitting in that position too long. And I'm just like, is she plotting some things down the line? But then again, like you say, she could be opening up to this side of this cult that she called it.
Mhm.
But that whole thing with not showing the helmet and not taking your helmet off, I'm like, that's kind of weird,
It
but
is. And I would feel it'd be like stinky and
oh
itchy.
my
Like, why
God.
would you do like just the
Yeah.
hygiene alone? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
And I might as well just go ahead and say it now. That one guy, I found out during the episode that he had a kid. So I'm like, okay, that's his son. So in my mind, immediately after the episode was over, I'm thinking, okay, if he has a kid, clearly he's been intimate with somebody. So do you mean to tell me that they can't take their helmets off
I
during sex?
mean,
I'm like, come on. I
you don't need
guess.
your helmet. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't
I
need your
guess.
face to do. I mean,
True.
they have glory holes for a reason. That's all I'm saying. You know, like,
Right, right. That's so true. You don't really need the
you
face. You
don't really
just,
need the face.
yeah, that's
Just
true. That's true. That's
mm,
true. So going into these two different types of two different types of scenes in this. Let's start off with Grogu. So Grogu's on the beach. It looks like he's moving rocks, but it's actually like sea animals. And then we have a duel with Grogu or Baby Yoda and against one of the Foundlings. And Grogu bests this Foundling. And initially he doesn't, but then eventually he bests them using his Jedi powers that he learned, getting them, to be the first one to best them out of three. Then eventually the armor takes Grogu to make another piece of Mandalorian armor. And as she's hammering down on it, Grogu starts to get these flashbacks and it brings him back into the chaos and the madness in Order 66 in the Jedi Temple. And right when that scene is going on, one of the Jedis falls down and it says, take him to Kellerman Beck. He gets on the elevator, he goes upstairs to the top floor, and then boom, Ahmad Best shows up with a double lightsaber. He's fighting all the clones, and he winds up taking Grogu through the city to get him to a ship to take him off the planet to try to save him. I'm going to stop right there, but this was basically that whole scenario. What do you think about this whole storyline with Grogu and the armor and these flashbacks? What are your thoughts on that?
well, the initially, I'm a veteran. So initially with the whole flashback thing, I was thinking he had PTSD. Like
That's
I was like, does he have PTSD? And like the sound of the armor is just like what triggered him or something. Like,
very good
so I was like,
call. Very
where are
good
they
call.
going with this?
Yeah.
And when what did you say his name is? Ahmad Best.
Ahmad Best. Yeah, Jar
Ahmad
Jar
Best.
Binks,
Jar Jar,
basically.
yeah, when he first came out, right? I was sitting here like, because I don't really follow this, right?
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
he first came out, the way that he busted out was like, yeah, y'all should know who I am. And I was like, wait, should I know who he is? And like, I kid you not, I feel like your phone knows your thoughts. Because
Mm,
I was looking something up on Google, had nothing
hmm.
to do with this at all. And the
Right.
first thing was his scene, that
Really?
popped up, and it was like Jar
Wow.
Jar Binks, and I was like, "That's Jar Jar," you know. So I
Yeah.
was super excited after that. Like after the fact, it was like a delayed reaction. Like, oh, okay, Jar Jar Binks, like
Right.
stepping into the scene. Like y'all know what this is.
I felt the same way. I felt the same way. But the funny thing for me is that when he walked through, I saw a black man with a bald head with a Jedi robot. I thought it was Mace Windu. I thought it was Samuel Jackson at first. I was like, oh shit, Sam Jackson's back. And,
Right.
and then I eventually realized it was Jar Jar Binks, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's Jar Jar Binks!" So
Right.
I got excited. I was thrilled, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. What other thoughts did you have about this whole scene with the fight scene and him going through the city and trying to get Grogu, off this planet and being chased by those clones? I mean, that was pretty intense.
It was intense. And, it does also play into like why Grogu had so many issues earlier with trusting people.
Mm,
Like he was like kind of like shelled in and
yeah,
closed in or whatever, didn't want to go to people. Like, I'm like, now I see why. Like, I mean, I kind of already got it, but after
yeah,
actually seeing the scene and how he had to flee the planet or
yeah,
whatever, like, yeah, that would
yeah.
definitely do it.
You make a really good point. I didn't think about the PTSD until much later, like a day later. And I was like, somebody else brought it up on another YouTube channel. And I was like, damn, that's right. That is PTSD. And it
Mm.
didn't click. So you bringing that up is a very good point, because people were saying when you have, PTSD, it's certain moments like that. It doesn't have to be real dramatic. It'd be something simple as
Something
that could
small.
trigger something that you've gone through. And I was like, wow, that's pretty phenomenal. Like I said, I thought this whole scene was fun. I screamed. I screamed when I saw it. I was just
uh,
grinning from ear to ear, because for me, knowing the how hard it was for Ahmad Best playing that character, he got so much shame, and he got ridiculed. He got a bad end of the stick after playing that for so many years. I mean, to the
yeah,
point that I didn't even know that he had tried to commit suicide, because
suicide.
the
Yeah.
he just got it so bad with people getting on him about playing that character. So I was
And I
just
don't
so
understand
thrilled.
why. I don't understand what the big thing with Jar Jar was. I mean, I understand that it wasn't an original character. I
Yeah,
think that's what somebody said. It was an original character. So because it kind of came out of the out of nowhere,
yeah,
basically. But so like it's a
yeah,
fictional thing,
yeah.
so you have to expect that they're not going to always follow the book like,
Hmm.
directly.
Star Wars fans are the best fans, but they can be some of the worst fans as well. And
Mhm.
I think it came out at that time period when you had a lot of folks that were still fans of the trilogy, and George
Mhm.
Lucas had taken a left turn to do something so different. And Jar Jar Binks was a character that was polarizing for a lot of people that were looking at that at the time, and they just hammered down on him to a lot of negative issues, a lot of negative things that caused so many issues. I mean, there's people right now from that prequel trilogy that stand off from a lot of the stuff. Like Hayden Christensen doesn't try to do a whole lot. They literally had to really pull him back in and do Obi-Wan Kenobi. And of course, we know what happened to Ahmad Best. I mean, he was almost committed suicide because of it. And it's really good to see that it's been over 20 years, but those kids that watch that now are the voice of this generation, and they're letting everybody know that, look, those folks didn't like you, but we love you and we want you to
Mm.
be here. So I'm just so happy to finally see him get a chance to get his roses and come back into
Mm.
the fold, and a fucking Jedi at that,
Yeah.
doing some shit. It wasn't like he just showed up and said, hey, let's go. I mean, he actually was doing the double
Right.
sabers and wielding it. So I was glad to
Yes.
see that, man. And
Mm.
seeing him go through the city with Grogu, I thought that chase scene was awesome. And I'm really curious on who his friends are, because they were clearly trying to get more younglings, but Grogu was one of the few ones they could find. And he said, I got to beat you up with my friends. They'll know
Mhm.
what to do. So I'm curious, like, who are those friends? Like who are the friends? And I want to see him more. I don't want this to be a one-time thing now. Keep this
Okay.
guy going in the series, because he deserves it. And I'm so glad that he's finally got that love, man.
It also makes me wonder, like, because they were looking for so many younglings, like, are there more baby Yodas out there? You
Mm,
know,
that's very true. Like he might not have been the only one, you know.
Mhm.
So there could be another one of his species. I don't know if there are, but there definitely could be other younglings out there, which they are. And I love the fact that they always are showing different angles of Order 66. So you'll get different perspectives on these younglings that survive, because you know in the Obi-Wan series, those little 4 or 5 younglings survived, and one of them turned out to be Reva, you know. So it's really interesting how this whole dynamic is, but I love how they're playing it all up and setting the stage, because when I've been thinking about it, this show is called The Mandalorian, and I'm like, are they calling it The Mandalorian because Grogu is eventually going to be the Mandalorian? Like, it's this kid. Are we going to see a little teenage Grogu with Mandalorian armor, but with a Jedi lightsaber? You know, I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be cool too. But you know,
Yeah,
the funny thing is, isn't he like 75? Like, isn't that what that
yeah.
chick said? Like he's like 75
He's
or
already up
something.
there. He's almost
Yeah.
a century old. I think he's like, yeah, 75, and he's like a 2-year-old baby still. So
Right. You know, they keep making
yeah,
all these baby like cooing noises, like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, he tries his
like,
best. He tries his best to talk. Yeah, yeah. Make that
it's
noise again.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
I need to get into voiceovers, you know, like Disney, call
Yeah, that was good. That was
me.
spot on. That was some of the best I've ever heard. Oh man. So um after that, we'll go into the second part of this story. Now that we've talked about that, and shout out to Ahmad Besho. We'll hope to see him again. So then we get into the second part of this story, which is the rescue mission. So Bo Katan is leading a rescue mission when one of Paz Vizsla's kids, that's the kind of the heavy Mandalorian, is taken by this pterodactyl looking creature, which is kind of crazy because after they have the duel, this pterodactyl just comes out of the middle of nowhere and swoops this kid up. And just like, they need to go somewhere else, because wherever they are, this has
It's
happened
dangerous.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it's it's happened several times. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Like, should you be somewhere else then? I mean, because this just keeps happening. But anyway, so then there's a squad of Mandalorians that Bo Katan is leading. There's a moment when they're all eating around the campfire, and you know, she asks them, how are you allowed to eat? You know, how are you going to eat if you can't take your helmet off? Of course, everybody else has to walk away. The guy then says, no, you can eat by the fire because you're the leader of this squadron, but everybody else has to go their separate ways and actually eat when nobody's around, which I'm like, oh, damn, you know, that's pretty lonely, but you know, it is what it is. The next morning they get to the nest, and Paz Vlissa gets a little aggressive trying to find his kid because Mando recognizes a heat signature. Of course, he thinks it's his son. He goes in there and tries to get his kid. Then the baby pterodactyls jump up out the nest. Then the big mama pterodactyl shows up, regurgitates his son out. And then, of
Whole.
course, everybody starts firing at the pterodactyl, and then they go off and start trying to rescue him and beat the pterodactyl up. All the Mandalorians are going after him, and the kid's name is Ragnar. I didn't know that was the kid's name. So then Bo Katan, Mando, and the crew eventually save the kid. They make it back to the covert. The armor then talks to her and says, hey, looks like you're missing a piece. Let me make you a new seal. So then Bo Katan then slightly just kind of says, like, you know, I would like to get my seal to be half the mythosaur and half of the night owls. She tries to then have a subtle conversation where she's saying, you know, what if I've seen a mythosaur, you know? And the armor is like, well, yeah, that's cool. And then Bo Katan's like, no, what if I really have seen one? And the armor is saying, well, you will get visions. And she's like, no, but I really have seen one. And then the armor just looks at her and says, this is the way. Then the story ends. So she clearly did not believe her at all. But going back and summing this up, what do you think how they handled Bo Katan's storyline and everything that happened here with the rescue mission, which was crazy rescue mission, but fun, and the situation with her trying to insinuate that she might have seen this creature that she saw in the waters, and her not really believing Bo Katan?
Well, the rescue scene I liked. You
Yeah.
know, the rescue scene I liked, or whatever. It just shows you like the power of a parent, you know,
Oh
because
yeah.
they're like, okay, you see something, then I'm going over there. Like, I don't care what's there, I'm going, you know, to go and get
Mm-hmm.
my kid. Like, dangers be damned.
Put all the shit to hell. That's
Like
my baby.
put all common sense to the
Yes.
wayside, because they were like, wait, we have to assess the situation. No,
Yeah.
forget that. I'm getting my
That's my kid.
kid. Right. So
Yeah.
he went in there guns blazing, almost died, but
Mm-hmm.
they finally got the kid, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Um, and Bo
He should have known
Katan,
better.
yeah, he should have known better, but again, you're not thinking,
Yeah.
all you're
Yeah.
thinking is, I need to get my kid. You see a heat signature, that's my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but the end with Bo Katan and the chick,
Yeah. The armor. That's what I
the
call her.
the the armor, yeah.
Yeah. That's all I see her do in all the show, just hammering away at some new shit to give somebody. That's all
Every
she
single
do.
time. Yeah, she really does do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she doesn't believe anybody with anything. I don't know if you
Yeah.
noticed that, like with when Mando was like, "Hey, the waters are good. Let me go out there." She's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
When he came back, it was like, "I did it." She was like, "Sure, you did." Like,
That's so true. I didn't realize that. She doesn't believe
she doesn't
anybody.
believe anybody on anything. Like, no, until
Yeah.
I see it, I don't believe it.
And it's like she doesn't want to say anything bad. So what she says is, this is the way. Like when
This
she
is the
don't want to
way.
say nothing else, like this is the way. That's what I said. I said what I said.
I said what I said, and this is
This
it.
is the way.
This is the way. And let me tell you, like my mom, she started watching the Mandalorian also.
Oh, okay.
So now that is her new favorite phrase. That, like,
Really?
she walks around all day like, "Mom, did you close the door?" "Yes, I did." How do you know you closed the door?" "Because this is the way." Like,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, that has nothing to do with
Right.
anything.
You're just throwing that phrase out there,
Just
Mom. What's
throw
going
it
on?
every single time. This is the
Oh
way.
man, I loved it. I just love seeing Bo Katan. I mean, she is badass. The fact that they got on those jetpacks, and I thought it was really cool that the jetpacks actually do run out of fuel. Because I'm scratching my head, and when the guys like they always get away, we never can get to them. So I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck, yo? Like, you guys
Mm.
need to find a better way to protect yourselves against this creature. But to see them run out of fuel, and then that shot where Bo Katan just comes to the rescue out the top, just taking or searching to find where the pterodactyl is, I thought was freaking cool. And seeing her lead these group of Mandalorians, she's badass. Yeah, dad, man, he threw all of that shit out the window. He was like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
give a fuck. That's my kid. I'm going in. And he went in and damn near got ate up by little baby pterodactyls. But it was a hell of a rescue mission. I like the action scene. Carl Weathers, I did not know he directed this. Fucking Apollo Creed.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was like,
Yes, I know. I saw that. So I was like, Apollo Creed.
uh,
So Carl Weathers, okay, I tell you who Carl Weathers is. Well, he was the guy in the very first episode that's all decked out now in the garments and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Apollo Creed from the original Rocky directed this, and I thought the action was great. I thought it was fantastic. And now seeing at the end with Bo Katan and the armor, her throwing that out there about this creature, the mythosaur. Now, if you don't know what about the mythosaur is, the armor kept telling Mando about this mythosaur all through all these episodes, that this mythosaur is like this mythical creature that once you get in contact with it or see it, this is going to help you rule Mandalore. Like it's this thing. It's always been a myth, but she
mhm.
actually saw it. So I know what she's thinking. She's thinking like, well, damn, I've actually seen it. Let me throw some shit out here to see what she says. But I think she's going to use that as a way to kind of gain some ranking in this cult here. But I don't know. I wouldn't even be surprised if she pulls like an avatar and it just shows up on the shit one day, like I forget what they did on Avatar. Like he wound up getting on that one particular creature that nobody could
Right. That
ride.
nobody could ride. Right.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
probably what she's going to do. That's probably what she's going to do. But I'm
Does it
excited to see what's
fly?
going to
Because I just
happen.
saw it in the water. Like, does
Yeah,
it
it probably
fly?
doesn't fly. Yeah, so I guess she'll just show up. You know what? Fuck it. Throw that out the window. That theory makes no sense.
Like maybe she'll come up with the head or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
she'll just
But
float on over on the waters and like, look, I've seen them because I guess it is hard to see that because it's in the depths of the ocean. But yeah, anyway.
isn't it another planet too? I think it's another planet,
It
you
is.
know?
It is.
So,
It's on Mandalore, but they
right.
the cult or the armors folks, they moved away from there because it's
Because they
ravaged and
said
they're
it was
trying to hide.
uninhabited. Right.
Yeah, and it's not. So you're right. She be throwing stuff out there, don't even be knowing the truth. She be like, it's cursed, it's
I was like,
ravaged. Can't breathe the air.
yeah, you can't breathe anything,
Can't
right? And then he
can't
goes out
trust
there
anything.
and, perfectly fine,
Yeah, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
everything's fine,
Yeah. But I
Uh,
really enjoyed this episode. I mean, I thought it was great. Anything else about this episode that stuck out to you in general that we didn't hit or talk about?
well, I mean, we already did hit it, the pterodactyl or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how he was able well, she was able to take the kid, considering just before that they were all training with real live ammo. So that was the part that
Mm.
kind of got me too. I'm like, okay, so they're shooting real live ammo
Yeah.
all over the place, just you
Yeah.
know bombs going off and
True.
everything, during this training session. But
Hmm.
somehow this pterodactyl comes and is able to take the thing, and nobody's like blowing anything up. Like, you were just blowing up nothing a minute
Yeah.
ago. You have a real live target and nobody's shooting at it.
Nobody's not one shot.
Not
Yeah,
one
that's
shot.
true. That's true. Yeah, they should have hit that thing before it even came to the beach. And
Exactly.
I mean, I may be crazy, but he puked up the kid before he was about to feed him to the little babies. That
Mm-hmm.
kid was just as dry as a bone. So I was like, where did that kid go? Like, he went and slept inside of this pterodactyl because
Right.
I don't know,
Because
something.
it was overnight too. So like, if it
Yeah,
if it ate it and it's overnight, how did it breathe? How did the kid breathe? Like, and
I
with the
thought
helmet on, had a helmet on the whole time. So I know it was
exactly,
suffocating.
exactly. And it puked it up a whole day later, and the kid is
Hmm.
chilling, like he been sleeping. Like,
Right.
I was like, know
Right.
about that,
I need
but
answers.
yeah, I need some answers on that one. But anyway, that was good. I'm gonna, close it out here. I thought the episode was great. I mean, out of 10, ugh, I hate to give episodes a 10, but this series I think has been great. If as far as action, I think it is I'll give it like an 8.5, almost a 9. If I watch it again, I'll probably give it a 9 just for seeing my man Jar Jar Binks again,
Jar
but
Jar.
I'm holding off because I think there may be something else later coming down the pipe. But it's an 8.5 to me. Where do you land on this episode, Cole?
I'll give it an 8.
8?
I'll give it an
Okay.
8. It was pretty good. I liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Uh,
I think it was good too. Yeah.
mhm.
I'm
I
just
feel like
curious
it.
of where they're going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious with a lot of things, because even with the last episode,
Hmm.
like, I'm like, I have no idea where that was supposed to go.
Mm,
Because that seemed to be a little bit all over the place for
yeah.
no reason. So with this one, I was like, oh, please tell me that you're going to tell me something about what happened in the last episode. And
Hmm.
then no, we didn't get any of that. So
Yeah, that's probably been my only thing about this series so far because I thought this was going to be him trying to get to the waters this whole episode, this whole season. But he
mm.
did that in like episode 2, like
Two,
the first.
yeah,
So
basically.
we have
Mhm.
like 5 more episodes. So I'm like, now what are we doing? So that's my
Yeah.
only thing. Like, where are we progressing? Where are we going? Or is Mandalorian simply just something they're using to kind of set up all these other Star Wars things that are coming later, like Ahsoka and stuff like that. So, but
Mhm.
you make a really good point. What are we doing? Every episode seems to be like, where are we going from here? So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because like with the first couple of seasons, there was always a mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have the kid, we need to take the kid somewhere.
Yes.
Now I don't have the kid, but I want the kid back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like this one is like, okay, you have the kid and you're training the kid, but what are we
Mm-hmm.
really doing?
Very good
And
point.
especially when you start adding on these other characters that don't seem to have that don't seem to fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the last episode, there was like the doctor and
Mm.
this chick that set him up and
Yeah.
all this, and I was like, what does this have to do with the price of milk? Like, I
Right.
don't know what's going on.
Yeah. What is going on here?
Yes.
I am right there with you. Very good point. We'll see what happens as this transpires. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Qola, thank you so much. Hey, everybody, come on back. We're going to be on this ride. Qola, hopefully you can come back here to do a recap of episode 5 with me. I would love for that if you're available. But Qola, please tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, Coca-Cola, Qoka_QOLA, right? Coca-Cola. Okay, yes, that's it.
Awesome. Everybody, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Corey Roy. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, we'll be back here with another review. Peace.